Hello, this is Colin, and this is the day after I've finished my David's Tea challenge. I sampled 10 David's Teas and well, reviewed them, and now I'm going to do a wrap up. Well, first of all, I'd just like to say that my opinions of David's Tea is no reflection on the kind people who gifted me these teas. And I don't want in any way for them to think that I'm attacking them or their judgment. So, to the teas, just quickly review what we have. We have this nice presentation box and a couple of loose teas. So the loose tea, the loose teas I had, let's see, there was milk oolong, which, yes, rather weak, sort of milky. I'll give you that. There was also ganmachai, which is the famous Japanese roasted rice tea. That one, there's not much wrong you can do with ganmachi. I mean, it would be hard to screw it up. Although I swear I've had better ganmachi. I know it was hard for me to put my finger on it, but I know I look at these sachets and such that we get from David's, and sometimes they don't have a whole lot of tea in them, it looks like. Anyway, so from there we moved on to the box, in which we have Buddha's Blend, which was quite nice, and my favorite, which is the Silk Dragon Jasmine, which is a green tea, and I love jasmine in my tea, so there's not much wrong you can do with jasmine. And I think for what it is, a green tea, mild, flavorful taste, this is the best of the box. And we have the Skinny, which is oolong, ginger, all kinds of thing, oolong, Peru, ginger. Once again, it's all right, but it's nothing to write home about. Followed by the Buzz, which, oddly enough, also features a lot of ginger. So we've got the sort of Peru oolong ginger tea, and the Buzz, which is a green matcha green and a green tea with ginger. And in both of these teas, the ginger is right out in front. It's dominated, I think, by the ginger. Now this is telling. This is the only actual black tea blend in the box of 10. And normally I love a cream Earl Grey. This one, they added something to sweeten it. I suspect it's the under natural flavors for sugar, which turns it into a butterscotch tea, which I find revoltingly sweet. Considering, I don't use sugar in my teas. I do like a sweet tea, but this is just too much. And then coffee Peru, which, like I say, I'm not really qualified to talk about because I'm not a coffee drinker and I very rarely drink Peru. Once again, sort of inoffensive. Nothing really great, nothing really terrible. Then we have the organic yesterday's cinnamon rooibos chai, which tastes nothing more than like a spicy apple cider tea. It's very strong in the cinnamon, and there is some sweetness. I'm still trying to figure out where that came from. Maybe the cinnamon, I don't know. And of course, last but not least, we have Forever Nuts, which it's got apple, almonds, cinnamon, beetroot. It's a herbal tea, and I just don't see the point. I don't even recognize this as tea. I'm sorry. It's just, I guess, taking it as a whole, I think the thing that really comes across for me from these David tea samples, which from what I understand are some of the customers' favorites, is that these are pretty weak teas, rather insipid. And the tea itself is usually far in the background. It's the ingredients they put in that really come to the fore. And I sometimes think about, all those farmers in Yorkshire, or people going out on the sea, out into in their fishing boats, and the first thing they want to drink in the morning isn't something like buzz, which does not give you a buzz. They want a strong, potent tea. They want a real, I don't know, butch, manly tea. Not sure how else to describe it, but something that puts a little bit of fire in the blood. But you're not going to get it from David's. You're going to get the sort of, inoffensive, wishy-washy teas. I mean, they have their place at times, I'm sure, but I would have liked to have seen something with a little more, I don't know, fiber, a little more substance to it. So that's my take on the David's tea selections. And so today, what am I drinking instead? Well, I am drinking a new tea blend from Murchie's called Victoria Gardens, which it's meant to evoke the beautiful rose gardens and whatnot of Victoria, the capital of British Columbia, very famous for its retirees, and its gardens is very famous for its gardens. So this one has quite a list of ingredients. It has green and black teas, and I think Murchie's really excels at green and black tea blends. Some of my favorite Murchie's teas are green and black tea blends, to which they have added jasmine, lavender, rose, sweet pea, bergamot, strawberry, and vanilla. Now, and normally I rail against this sort of overburdening the tea with so many elements. The thing about the Murchie's teas, unlike the David's, when you actually drink it, the tea is actually up front. It is not drowned in rose petals or lavender. That you still have the black tea, with the softening edge of the green tea. So at no point does this tea forget that it's tea, despite all of the elements inside it. And I actually quite like this tea. There's a bit of an aftertaste. I'm not sure. Is that the vanilla? I'm not sure. But, it's a refreshing tea. It has a pleasant taste, but it still has a bit of robustness, a bit of actual tea to it. So instead of going to the ball and shopping at David's Teas, I would suggest going and finding your local tea shops that are run by people who actually care about tea. Hopefully you can find tea that's fair trade, but I think the smaller specialty shops, not only do they know their teas, not only do they produce wonderful blends, they also are often cheaper, much cheaper than David's. So in Vancouver, places I buy tea are Murchie's, Granville Island Teas, Bayswater Teas over in Kitsilano, and there's a lovely little tea shop, Steam. Is it called Steam? I think it's called Steam. A lovely little one in a market at Hastings and Nanaimo, which has a delightful young man who knows his teas. Anyway, so here we are. I'm now back on a steady diet of black tea. Black tea, green tea, white tea, but just, proper tea. Thank you. Cheers.